It is ill-affordable for an activity that doesn't bring any economic return. You can keep the place closed and pay out. Why should you do that? Then the next option is look at people who'd like to come and take a stake.
And there are other mega projects China is investing in.
Here, a brand new city is being created off the coast of Colombo. It'll have swanky corporate offices, shiny apartment blocks, parks, malls, and even a marina. All of this is being built by a Chinese state-owned company that's investing about $1.5 billion. But in return for that money, about 2/3 of this new city will be handed over to the firm. So, like the proposed deal at the Hambantota port, China will effectively control another part of Sri Lanka.
Some China-backed projects led to protests earlier this year from locals unwilling to sell their land, homes and farms for development. But not all Chinese investment has been without benefit. The many highways and roads being constructed have helped boost tourism. But Sri Lanka is trapped in a debt crisis and owes $8 billion to China alone. So whether good or bad, the government here doesn't have much room to negotiate on the kind of deals it strikes to help its economy and its people. Yogita Lemay, BBC News, Sri Lanka.
That's it with the business. Follow me on Twitter at BBC Aaron. Timbo.
Thanks very much indeed, Aaron. Just to remind you that Aaron's back. We're talking business at 13:30 Monday to Friday in a new programme. Right, now, when Britain goes to the polls next week, one of the major issues that voters will be thinking about will be the country's departure from Europe and who they want in charge of the Brexit negotiations. This week, we'll be speaking to voters across the country about what matters to them. Today, we're in the southeast of England speaking to Alex James and Philip Morgan. They both share a passion for gliding, but have different political views.
Shelbourne Wind, Shelbourne Base, preparing launch LS3 field side.
Gliding for me is a very, very peaceful sport.
Flight number one, terrifying. And then one day the instructor steps out of the back and he says, all right, off you go. And then it's even more terrifying.
It may well be quite strange for people to know that in a glider you can stay up for hours and travel hundreds of miles and not have an engine to sustain it.
Starts off with you sat there quite quietly. There's a beep going from the little launch point. You're slowly creeping away. And then all of a sudden it just hits you and you're gone. Within a couple of seconds, you're 45 degrees, pointing into the sky. It's loud, everything's shaking and creaking. And then you reach the top, and then everything just goes quiet. They welcome us down from the University of Southampton just to get new people involved in the sport. To put it bluntly, everybody here is getting on a bit. We give them stick because they're old, and they give us stick because we're young and we'll never be able to buy a house.
The latest generation probably haven't seen the full picture like other people have, older people have seen. We've had periods of mass unemployment. A lot of older people have been through all this pain before, which the younger people haven't actually seen. I think the younger people are quite lucky, really. So when they see older people have got their houses and they've got their big pensions and things like that, you need to balance that up with what they've been through to get that. It's not been handed to them on a plate by any means.
You get a higher launch bar going up. And a bit of lift it, do a turn to the right, mate.
I think the biggest concern to my generation is house prices. So it's becoming more difficult to get on the property ladder. Rent is extortionately expensive. I feel like the older generation puts more importance on immigration.
The younger people would probably want us to stay in the EU. I can't personally understand why they would think that. I just generally feel we are going to be a lot better out of it. I think we've been dictated to a bit too much. Personally, where I'm working, the opportunities are getting better because of a Brexit.
And then there seems to be somewhat of a sliding scale between the two generations as to whether or not Brexit was a good idea. I think it's a shame, really. I think cooperation with Europe is one of the things that we should value, and to shut that door just seems crazy to me personally.
Gliding looks wonderful, doesn't it? From me, Tim Wilcox, and the whole team here in London. Bye-bye.
Tartu, Estonia's second largest city. Like most cities, graffiti and street art provoke around every corner, if you know where to look. It's also home to one of the biggest spray-painted pieces I've ever laid eyes on. But Albert's been painted dot by dot. And I've been promised I too can achieve artistic genius with the right tools. Believe it or not, these pictures have all been painted with spray paint. They've been pieced together splodge by splodge by the spray printer device.
My daughter wanted a unicorn on her wall, but I couldn't draw. So that pushed me towards creating this device.
To make these magical masterpieces, you need the right kit. A smartphone with the appropriate app installed, an external battery pack to keep it fully juiced, a tripod to hold it steady, some paint, and of course the spray printer. First you select an image and align it against the area you want to paint, so the image is projected like a giant virtual sticker. Portraits with shadows work best. The phone's camera exposes for the LED on the device, and when it illuminates, it sends the can's location to the app. The phone then tells the printer its coordinates, and the printer decides when to spray and when not to.
Once you get the knack of it, it's actually surprisingly simple to use. You just have to make sure you go from left to right, or right to left, very smoothly in a straight line.
For all its geeky brilliance, it's a real labour of love. Even the most simple of designs takes several hours.
Depending on how complex the picture and the size, the amount of layers, the different colours you want to paint with, that determines how long doing one of these is going to take.
You need to move your hand relatively steady. So if you start moving your hand very quickly, you're losing accuracy.
Not sure I could really stand here for several hours doing this, but
with the next model, you should be able to move your hand relatively freely as you would with a regular paintbrush.
To give your arm a rest, the team have already started developing robotic versions to do the spraying for them, meaning larger, more complex images.
I developed this extra accessory for the spray printer to automate the process. Because for high-scale images, the handheld method takes too much time and effort.
Soon, others will be able. Does the printer help artistic expression, or simply kill it?
A person who can't draw at all, how to paint. It's like a sort of a coloring book, but you can go over the lines, but the paint will still only land in the right places. I think for the people like myself, we call them artistically challenged. And I think this device, it gives them new power.
the finished result, and it started off only a few small dots. You actually have to stand back a few feet to get the full view, to get the right perspective on it. How good is that? Yep, and in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I made earlier. Yep, all me. Yep, entirely done by me. All of it.
For the times of the full-length Click this weekend, check out our website, bbc.com/click.
Look closely. Hidden in every swing, every chip, and every putt is data that can make the difference between winning and losing. The Microsoft Cloud helps the PGA Tour turn countless points of data into insights that transform their business and will enhance the game for players and fans.
The Microsoft Cloud turns information into insight.
city from the Stone Age to the future. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv. Forge of Empires. Play now.
Outside Source doesn't just report a story, it looks at it from every angle. Live data visualizations help us understand what's happening and what it means. Interactive maps take you from a global view right down to street level. Real-time reporting and reaction from social media means you get the latest as you do. And the BBC